For more than 2 weeks, I found myself resting in a bed at San Francisco General, while my own daughter, Emily, and her husband, Jacob, seemed to have vanished into the whirlwind of their lives. Engaged in their own pursuits, they were as occupied as a presidential campaign team, too overwhelmed to spare a moment for a phone call, much less a visit. In a twist of fate, it was my widowed daughter-in-law, Nora, who graced the hospital with her presence each day, gracefully traversing the distance between her home and my room. She tenderly changed my bandages, prepared delightful meals, meticulously double-checked the doctor's orders, and never failed to have a cup of warm water ready, just as I adored it. She moved with effortless grace. Indeed, hearts are crafted from tender flesh, not unyielding stone. Though I may bear the marks of time, such kindness remains a vibrant thread, never to be lost in the shadows. It clings. On that fateful day, I resolved to embrace a new path. I established a trust for my cherished home, designating Nora and my beloved granddaughter Ella as the exclusive beneficiaries. Well, would you believe it? Somehow, word must have slipped through the cracks, for as dawn broke the next morning, my spirited daughter, Emily, swept into my hospital room with the force of an impending tempest. She hovered above my bed, her eyes aflame with intensity, her finger almost teasingly poised at my nose. "Mother, this is utterly astonishing. You often claimed that favoritism was not in your nature, yet now, in the absence of my brother, you choose to bestow the house upon his wife? She is not even of your lineage." Ah, the delightful irony. It is amusing how I never truly perceived the delicacy of my daughter's reasoning, more fragile than my weary knees, which have been faltering for quite some time. In her view, if I choose not to gift her the house, it seems I am showing favoritism. Am I losing my mind? Very well. If that makes me the eccentric soul, I shall don that title with grace and pride. It is infinitely more delightful than embracing a heart devoid of warmth. The evening sky draped itself over the Bay Area like a weary quilt, its dampness and weight casting a soft, muted gray over the landscape. As I prepared to warm the remnants of last night's risotto, an unexpected and sharp pain pierced through my lower right abdomen. It was as if a worn tool were delicately yet forcefully turning within me, evoking a deep and unsettling ache. Profound, fierce, and ceaseless. The agony was overwhelming. It surged within me, a wild and untamed force, thrashing with an intensity that left me breathless. A sudden chill enveloped me, as beads of perspiration clung to my shirt in an instant. Glistening droplets traced their way down my forehead as the kitchen faded into a soft haze, reminiscent of a window misted by warm steam. I clutched the cool marble counter, seeking to find my balance. Even the act of breathing had transformed into a delicate challenge. Years have slipped by since my beloved husband departed, and now, my only son Ethan has also been away for some time. Although my daughter-in-law Nora resides with me, she often finds herself preoccupied with work, much like today. This abode often exudes a serene stillness. At this moment, it seemed empty, akin to a frozen cavern, resonating solely with the whispers of my uneven breath. I wandered into the living room, my hands trembling as I searched for my phone. My fingers quivered with such intensity that I found myself unable to unlock the screen on my initial attempts. Amidst the mist that clouded my sight and the frantic rhythm of my heart, I whispered to myself repeatedly. Do not succumb to the depths. Not at this moment. Now is not the time to falter. With a firm resolve, I pressed my teeth together and reached for my phone to call 911. The mournful cry of the ambulance siren intensified with each passing moment, piercing the tranquil evening air with a sharp urgency, as if slicing through the calm with a desperate plea. As they gently placed me onto the stretcher, the ceiling above began to whirl, its stark white cold receding like the surface of a far-off, frozen lake, slipping further into the depths of my consciousness. In the emergency room, the diagnosis arrived swiftly: acute appendicitis. Urgent surgery was required without delay. The doctor, his voice steady yet devoid of warmth, conveyed the necessity of a family member's consent for the procedure, the N95 mask obscuring any hint of emotion. And a cherished presence to accompany me in the aftermath of the procedure. Beloved kin. The name that gracefully danced into my thoughts was Emily. My beloved daughter. My darling girl. The one I nurtured with unwavering devotion, the one I cherished above all others. I sensed, deep within my heart, that she was not destined to arrive. Yet, when you find yourself at the precipice, trembling and in pain, you still yearn for that crimson embrace. As I reclined upon a makeshift bed, the air was laced with the piercing aroma of disinfectant, while a sharp pain coiled within my abdomen like a cruel embrace of barbed wire. I pressed the solitary number I could dial with my eyes closed, my hands quivering ever so slightly. It is often said that mothers hold on to the tender hope that their children will cherish and care for them as they gracefully age. Yet, the reality is that in those moments when you find yourself vulnerable and yearning for connection, the person you choose to reach for speaks volumes. The phone rang softly, echoing through the silence, until at last, she graced it with her touch. Mother. Emily's voice carried a hint of worry, yet it was predominantly hurried and preoccupied. The gentle sound of keyboard clacking filled the air, accompanied by a voice softly calling her name from afar. What could it be? I find myself amidst a meeting at this moment. Today, we find ourselves facing a significant deadline. I find it impossible to turn away. I stifled the ache within and endeavored to maintain a calm and composed tone. My dearest Emily. I find myself in the hospital. My stomach is feeling quite unwell. It has been said that it is appendicitis. They must take action. Your signature is required. A moment of stillness lingered in the air. I could nearly envision her casting a glance at her watch, a hint of annoyance dancing in her eyes, as she calculated the passing moments. Could it be appendicitis? Oh my, that is quite unexpected. At this moment, dear mother, I find it quite impossible to take my leave. My boss is radiating intensity today. Is it not possible for Jacob to attend? Where might he be? A fresh wave of coolness enveloped me, one that was entirely unrelated to any fever. My voice trembled delicately. Are you unaware? He resides in the charming city of San Jose. A journey for business purposes. He shall not return until the following week. Ah, yes, indeed. How utterly delightful it is to be reminded of such things, though they may slip from our minds at times. Today, I find myself in a whirlwind of thoughts and feelings. Oh, really? Let the doctors carry out their expertise, employing any medications deemed essential. If there is anything left unaddressed, I shall promptly transfer the funds. I promise to visit you at the earliest opportunity. Indeed. Sap. Sap. What significance did that hold for her now? One meeting gracefully flowed into the next, and then into yet another. Her presence, much like Schrödinger's cat, lingered in a state of both possibility and uncertainty, waiting to be unveiled. She seemed to come alive only in the fleeting moments when my memory graced her thoughts, which, if I am to be truthful, occurred all too rarely. I found myself lacking the resolve to engage in a dispute. The chill I experienced now penetrated far beyond mere physical discomfort. Very well, I replied softly and ended the call. My eyes shimmered with a fiery intensity. The monitor beside my bed emitted a steady, unwavering beep, a silent witness to the moments unfolding around me. It seemed to whisper the truth I hesitated to voice. You shall navigate this journey alone. Whom else could I rely upon, if not the enchanting Emily and the charming Jacob? Suddenly, the image of Nora's face graced my thoughts. After Ethan departed, she remained, just she and sweet little Ella, beneath this time-worn roof with me. A devoted mother gracefully managing every challenge, never uttering a word of discontent. Life was far from simple, yet she never allowed it to become my burden. We weren't truly intimate, at least not in the manner one might envision a family to be. To the casual observer, we may have appeared as mere roommates. Courteous, distinct, and honoring one another's personal space. Nora possessed a serene disposition, soft and composed. She spoke with grace, her words always measured and purposeful. Every action she took was imbued with a serene grace. Yet, in the year that Ethan departed, I had discreetly embarked on a journey that remained unknown to most. A realization had gently unfolded within me. In moments of uncertainty within these walls, should I ever find myself in dire need, it is Nora who would stand as my sole pillar of support. I have entrusted her with a medical power of attorney, granting her the legal authority to make decisions for me in times of emergency. For after all these years spent beneath the same roof, a truth has revealed itself to me with exquisite clarity. Nora was the most capable, composed, and steadfast individual I had ever encountered. Much more reliable than my daughter or son-in-law have ever been. Yet, my hand lingered just above her name in my contacts, caught in a moment of uncertainty. She possessed her own career, a precious child to nurture. Was it truly just to place this weight upon her shoulders? Yet, the doctors remained in anticipation. The surgery could no longer be postponed. It was a decision I was compelled to make. Thus, I made the call. My heart fluttered as I lingered in anticipation, uncertain of the words that might escape my lips. Yet the phone barely chimed once before her voice graced the line. "My dear Martha. Are you feeling well, my dear? Your words seem a bit off." Her voice flowed forth, imbued with a tender urgency. Authentic, undeniably clear. I paused for a moment, caught in the stillness. That response, it took me by surprise. I shared the details with her, striving to maintain my composure. Yet, before I could complete my thought, she interrupted me, her voice laced with an urgent intensity. "My dearest Martha, fret not. I am en route. Please send me the name of the hospital along with the address of the department. All that exists. I shall take Ella to Catherine's, and then I will make my way directly to you." There was an unwavering certainty. Not a glimpse in sight. There is no justification. Only movement. As I ended the call, a gentle flutter awakened within me. An unfamiliar longing. A blend of relief, a whisper of guilt, and a gentle warmth. It wasn't that I required her support. I find myself pondering the notion that it was unnecessary for me to have done so. This was meant to be the moment for Emily and Jacob to truly shine. Isn't it amusing how we often invest our hopes in those who may not deserve them, only for reality to gently guide us back to the truth? In less than 40 minutes, the doors of the ER gracefully swung open. Nora entered in a flurry, her breath quickened, a delicate sheen of perspiration gracing her forehead. It was evident that she had traversed the distance with unwavering determination. As her gaze intertwined with mine, delicate and curled upon the bed, felt the weight of her expression shatter the silence. Glistening tears began to gather. She rushed to my side, her voice quivering with emotion. "My dearest Martha, how does your heart fare today? Do you still find yourself in anguish?" She gracefully bent down, enveloping my icy hand within her warm embrace. Her touch radiated warmth. Rooted in the essence of being. It felt as though a part of my soul surrendered in a single, exquisite moment. The vulnerability, the pain. It nearly overflowed in a cascade of tears. "Ah, Nora, how delightful to see you here," I murmured, my voice husky and parched. She refrained from offering empty reassurances. With a graceful turn, she approached the doctors, absorbing the details with keen attention. She meticulously reviewed the forms, her pen gliding across the consent papers with assured elegance. Her signature flowed with a certain grace, each stroke deliberate and refined. Without a moment's doubt. Not a single one. She gracefully managed it all. Engaged in harmonious communication with the nurses, ensured the confirmation of my admission, and gracefully settled the requisite fees. Confident. As if she had devoted her entire existence to this very instant. In that moment, I found myself utterly vulnerable, like a child, striving to keep my eyes open against the gentle pull of slumber. Nora was more than a mere source of assistance. She ensnared my heart. Like a delicate web, tender yet resilient, poised to embrace what was on the verge of unraveling. Just before they rolled me into the operating room, she leaned in, her breath a soft caress against my ear, her hand tenderly holding mine. "Fear not, dear Martha. I shall remain here, ever close to you. Rest assured, all will be well." As the anesthesia gently coursed through my veins, softening the contours of the room, I clung to the final image that lingered in my mind. Her tearful eyes, unwavering and radiant, glowed with a strength I had nearly forgotten was possible. In that frigid, unwelcoming hospital, she was the sole beacon of warmth remaining. And in some way, that was all that was needed. The surgery was a success. As I regained consciousness, I noticed the sky beyond was a deep, inky black. In the dim embrace of a small bedside lamp, the room was gently illuminated, a delicate, milky glow gracing the pristine hospital walls, serene and quiet, reminiscent of moonlight wandering in search of its path. Nora had drifted into slumber at my bedside, her head gently cradled upon her folded arms. She remained adorned in the same delicate light jacket from earlier, her hair softly tousled, her complexion pale and etched with the traces of fatigue. It was evident that she had not found a moment of rest throughout the day. Beyond the window, San Francisco sparkled gracefully in the distance. A cascade of hues and radiance, as if an artist's palette had been gently upended. The city lights waltzed gracefully upon the glass. Within the confines of the room, a serene silence enveloped the air. The only sounds that filled the air were the rhythmic beep of the heart monitor and Nora's soft, tranquil breathing, slow and steady. I gently shifted my fingers. The gentle whisper of the sheets beckoned her from slumber. Her eyes fluttered open. She blinked softly, brushing the corners of her eyes with the back of her hand, lingering in that delicate space between slumber and concern. Upon noticing my awakening, she leaned closer, her voice a soft whisper, imbued with a tenderness that was impossible to ignore. "You have awakened. How do you find yourself feeling? Does it still ache within your heart? Do you think I should reach out to the nurse?" Her questions flowed like a gentle stream, both urgent and filled with warmth. I gently shook my head. My throat felt parched, as if it longed for the gentle caress of refreshing moisture. Liquid crystal. She rose gracefully, poured a delicate stream of warm water from the thermos, then dipped a cotton swab and softly brushed it against my lips. "The doctor advised that you should refrain from drinking for the time being, but I shall assist in soothing your throat," she murmured gently, her movements delicate as if I were made of glass. Gazing upon the profound shadows beneath her eyes, an unfamiliar ache blossomed within my heart. "My dear Nora, this may be more than you can bear. You need not bear such a burden alone." He smiled, a shy yet warm expression gracing his features. "Please, refrain from uttering those words. Though Ethan has departed, the bonds of family remain unbroken. You are the beloved grandmother of Ella. Caring for you, that is the essence of family." She lingered for a moment. A fleeting shadow of sorrow danced in her eyes, yet it was swiftly enveloped by a steadfast determination. "The doctor assured you that in just a few more days, you shall be up and gracefully moving once again. Simply concentrate on your recovery, my dear, if you would." She chose not to speak of Emily. Silence reigns. I found myself refraining from inquiry. There are certain sentiments that linger in the air, unspoken yet profoundly understood. To utter them would transform gentle truths into an uncomfortable clamor. At that moment, the door gently creaked open. A delicate silhouette entered, Ella. As soon as her gaze fell upon Nora, she softly murmured, "Mommy," and gracefully tiptoed to my bedside. Her large, deep-set eyes gazed up at me, filled with a tender, shy worry. "Dearest Grandma, does it still bring you pain?" she inquired with a tender grace. With a gentle embrace, Nora leaned in closer, her voice a soft murmur, "Grandma just had surgery. Let us speak softly, allowing her the peace she deserves for her rest." Ella nodded with a graceful solemnity. From her delicate backpack, she retrieved a piece of candy, its bright foil shimmering enchantingly beneath the soft glow of the lamp. She gently set it upon the pillow beside me. "Here you are, dear Grandma. Partake in this, and the pain shall fade away." Her voice resonated with clarity and sweetness, akin to a delicate wind chime, gently caressing the tenderest corners of my heart. I gazed upon the two of them, one standing resolute while the other leaned in with an air of intimacy, and a sensation awakened within me, elusive and unnameable. Since Ethan's passing, it had been just the two of them, solitary yet unyielding. Nora chose not to remarry, remaining steadfast and unwavering. She carried the burden with grace and strength, never seeking a way out. As her mother-in-law, I find myself reflecting on the modest contributions I have made. A touch of currency now and then, perhaps. Yet, genuine care and true concern have always remained just beyond my reach. In the depths of my thoughts, I maintained a certain distance. She was not my daughter, at least not in the way that blood defines such bonds. We were not truly a family. There existed a delicate line, slender yet resolute. Yet now, in my moments of deepest vulnerability, laid bare of all that once defined me, my pride, my strength, my independence, when I longed for the comforting presence of another, it was not the daughter I had nurtured who stood by my side. It was Nora, the one I believed lingered on the other side of the line. She is the one who gracefully crossed it, never casting a glance behind her. The ensuing fortnight unfolded as a cherished chapter in my life, one that I shall forever hold dear, serene, reflective, and unexpectedly illuminating. As I had anticipated, Emily and Jacob were still elusive, their presence a mere whisper in the air. So occupied, so esteemed, so sought after that presence eludes. Emily graced us with her presence on 2 occasions. Merely on 2 occasions. The very first occasion unfolded the day following my surgery. She glided into the room, a basket of exquisite imported fruit in her hands, the apples adorned with their glossy little barcode stickers. Not a single one had been peeled, much less offered. They were more a work of art than a source of nourishment. She donned a fitted pencil dress, her heels clicking with assured grace, makeup impeccable, as if she had just emerged from the spotlight of a grand soiree. Dearest mother, how is your heart today? I truly must take my leave. This afternoon, I have the pleasure of a Zoom call with a client from Europe. I simply wish to reach out for a moment. She spoke softly, her fingers gliding over her phone, her gaze fleetingly brushing against mine, never lingering for more than a heartbeat. I gazed upon her, my lips quivering, uncertain of the words that yearned to escape my lips. Ultimately, I simply let out a breath. Proceed, I whispered softly. Prioritize your endeavors above all else. She exhaled softly, a breath of relief rather than guilt, and gracefully made her way to the door. If anything arises, please feel free to call me or have Nora get in touch, all right? Her heels resonated through the hallway, a sharp and hollow melody. The delicate essence of her perfume lingered in the air, a sweet reminder of her enchanting presence long after the door had softly closed behind her. More fragrance than essence. Her second visit graced the moments just before my departure. This time, there shall be no fruit basket. She entered gracefully, offered a brief compliment of how much better he appeared, and then began to weave a captivating monologue. Her calendar brimming with commitments, Jacob's perpetual journeys for work, the staggering hospital bills that weighed heavily, and the outrageous cost of living in California. He spoke endlessly, weaving his thoughts into a tapestry of words. Yet, beneath each grievance lay a singular, unchanging sentiment. She felt weary. He faced his own share of hardships as well. I reclined in silence, gazing at the ceiling, as the last flicker of hope I had been nurturing gently faded away. Softly, utterly. As for Jacob, he graced me with a single call. It is now the 3rd day of my sojourn in the hospital. My sincerest apologies, dear Martha. At this moment, I find myself in the enchanting city of Seattle. Rest assured, my dear, I shall find a way to atone for my absence upon my return. He did not. They were perpetually engaged in their pursuits. Engaged in the pursuit of aspirations, gracefully ascending towards rewards, ever striving to remain in the lead. Engaged in the delightful pursuit of transforming into individuals who captivate the attention of strangers at elegant soirees. So engrossed in their own world, they remained oblivious to the gentle souls who had been patiently awaiting their gaze. Throughout that moment, as the sun gently streamed through my hospital blinds, casting dappled shadows on the sheets like delicate brushstrokes on a cherished canvas, it became achingly, exquisitely evident. It was not Emily who cradled my universe in her hands. It certainly was not Jacob. It was Nora, the name that danced upon the lips like a whispered secret. On the day of my release from the hospital, the nurse gracefully guided me to the entrance, her presence a gentle comfort in that moment of transition. The sunlight shone with such brilliance that it brought a gentle sting to my eyes. Yet, my mind was consumed by a singular thought. At last, I find myself nestled in the comfort of my own bed once more. Nora awaited, a vision of grace, with Ella beside her, adding to the charm of the moment. That sweet little girl rushed toward me with the grace of a playful squirrel, wrapping her arms around my legs and softly murmuring, "Grandma, we're here to take you home." With one hand, she cradled Nora's picnic basket, while the other gently beckoned me closer, her smile so enchanting that it almost brought tears to my eyes. Upon returning to the house, Nora gracefully settled me onto the sofa, tenderly fluffed the pillows to support my back, warmed a bowl of porridge, and delicately draped a soft blanket over my legs. "Do take care not to let your knees grow cold," she remarked, her voice airy and instinctual, reminiscent of a daughter lovingly looking after her mother. I parted my lips to express my gratitude, yet the words eluded me, lingering just beyond my reach. Instead, I offered a delicate nod. We had transcended the realm of mere polite exchanges. She never sought recognition for her deeds. I have never sought anything in return. Emily, however, chose not to grace us with her presence that day. She dispatched a text of 5 words. "Is everything still unfolding beautifully?" Not a complete thought. I responded, "All is well," and thus it was settled. Silence envelopes the air. Her silence lingered in the air. I assumed, as is often the case, that she was likely caught up in her own whirlwind once more. Yet, the following day, she caught me off guard. She entered, clad in her polished office attire, devoid of flowers or fruit, holding only a manila folder, accompanied by a hint of an overwhelming fragrance. She settled gracefully, without a moment's hesitation, and immersed herself fully, her tone as invigorating as a perfectly brewed espresso. "Dearest mother, it is time for us to have a conversation regarding your financial matters. I believe the moment has come for you to consider drafting a will and arranging the estate with care. We must not linger until another health scare surprises us unexpectedly. Your mind remains clear and composed at this moment. Now is the perfect moment to weave your plans." She conveyed everything with unwavering poise, her voice a graceful blend of serene authority and a gentle reminder that it was for your own benefit. Before I could utter a single word, she was already gracefully flipping through color-coded charts, her voice flowing as if she were enchanting a client with her pitch. This time, however, the client happened to be none other than her own mother. In that fleeting moment, I found myself seated in silence, absorbing the symphony of sounds around me, yet feeling an emptiness within. The atmosphere in the room grew chill, a subtle shift that whispered of unspoken emotions. Not from the warmth of the temperature, but from the serene, precise nature of it all. At that moment, Nora gracefully entered from the kitchen, cradling a delicate tray of tea. She hesitated, captivated by the sound of Emily's voice, on the brink of turning away. "Nora, please stay," I implored. He halted, taken aback. I gazed upon Emily. Though my voice was soft, it carried a newfound assurance that dispelled all doubt. "I am aware that you possess wonderful ideas. Your unwavering consistency is a constant delight. Your passion lies in orchestrating plans, crafting experiences for others, and shaping delightful outcomes. Yet this time, I shall not adhere to your narrative." Emily arched an eyebrow, offering a subtle, dry smile. "Is it my script? Do you believe I am crossing a line?" I chose not to respond to that. With a gentle conviction, I expressed my belief that I hold the authority to determine the fate of my home, my existence, and the legacy I choose to leave behind. It seems rather unfair for someone who has been absent throughout to suddenly appear at the end and present me with a list of demands. Her eyes deepened, reminiscent of a glass of red wine, poised delicately, on the verge of spilling its rich allure. Serene on the exterior, yet a hidden turmoil lingers beneath. There we stood, I on one side of an unseen barrier, she on the opposite side. We could gaze upon one another with clarity, yet the words seemed to elude us now. "Is this a matter of guilt, then?" she inquired, her voice laced with a hint of sharpness. Are you suggesting that my efforts have fallen short? I chose not to respond. It was unnecessary for me to do so. She poised herself, delicately collecting her folder. Very well. Your message has been received. I trust that this choice will bring you joy and not regret. With that, she pivoted gracefully and glided away, each click of her heels resonating against the hardwood like a decisive gavel. The verdict has been rendered. The decision has been made. The silence she departed with resonated more profoundly than any words she had ever uttered. The door gently closed behind her. A moment lingered. Then Ella glanced around the corner of the hallway, her eyes sparkling with wonder. Is she upset once more? She inquired softly, her voice barely a breath. With a tender grace, Nora lifted her into her arms. It is quite all right, my dear. Aunt Emily is feeling a touch of distress. In just a few days, she shall find herself feeling much improved. On that enchanting night, I found myself seated beside my bed, my cherished notebook gracefully resting upon my lap. Pages I had turned through countless times. And within the inner cover, I inscribed a sentiment I never imagined I would express. I once held the belief that love has a way of returning to us, no matter the distance or time apart. Yet, life possesses a remarkable ability to rouse your spirit. The ink lingered in its freshness as I gently closed the notebook. Yet within, for the first time in what felt like an eternity, I experienced a sensation akin to tranquility. The street where I resided was a serene haven. In a manner that maintained a delicate distance, where intimacy was gracefully avoided. Yet, it was impossible for anyone to overlook when a soul found themselves in the hospital or when a significant event unfolded. There were those who cared, if only to inquire. Approximately a week after my return home, Nora gently guided me in a wheelchair through the garden, seeking the warmth of the sun's embrace. The soft glow caressed her shoulders, enveloping her in warmth and tenderness. As I gazed upon her, it dawned on me that she had transformed from a distant, aloof figure into someone far more engaging. On that delightful afternoon, our dear neighbor Grace graced us with her presence, bringing along a charming box of scones from the bakery. With a playful smile, she brushed her hands against her jeans before gracefully offering them up. With a light-hearted laugh, she remarked, "Your daughter must be quite occupied these days." Her presence at the hospital was scarcely felt. I offered a gentle smile, yet chose to remain silent. I gently clasped my mug, my fingertips brushing against the cool ceramic, seeking warmth in its embrace. Grace continued her journey. "Yet, your daughter-in-law has truly been delightful and attentive, hasn't she? Recently, she graciously delivered cold medicine to Mrs. Patel, who lives next door. Alongside Ella as well. Charming young lady. I observed her unwavering concern for you and mused to myself, indeed, she has rightfully secured her place in this home." I nodded once more, yet it seemed as though a soft cotton had settled in my throat. That single remark, about your daughter being quite occupied, carried no hint of cruelty. Yet it nestled itself within, profoundly. Once Grace departed, I retreated indoors and retrieved a pile of bills. I considered that perhaps Emily might lend her assistance in sorting through them. With a moment's pause, I finally reached for her number and dialed. She answered swiftly, her voice carrying a lively charm. "Dearest mother, I am en route to the airport now. Embarking on a journey to Houston this afternoon. Could we perhaps expedite this process?" I found myself pausing, caught in a moment of uncertainty. I felt it was important to share that the neighbors had been whispering about us recently. A moment of stillness lingered in the air. Then her voice took on a piercing edge. "And you couldn't find the strength to stand by my side? Surely, you are aware of the many demands on my time. Why do you allow their whispers to touch your heart?" I parted my lips, yet silence lingered in the air. She ended the call, and in that fleeting moment, the atmosphere around me felt as though it had cooled by 10 degrees. That evening, an unforeseen incident unfolded. Ella vanished after class, leaving an air of mystery in her wake. She did not return home from school. Nora received the call from the teacher and paused mid-sentence, her phone almost slipping from her grasp. Without a moment's hesitation, she slipped into her coat and dashed out the door, her bare feet barely touching the ground. I attempted to rise, yet she gently restrained me. "Martha, I kindly ask you to remain here with me. I shall seek her out, I vow." I lingered at the door, observing her dash down the driveway, her complexion ashen and her eyes alight with a tempest of fear. My heart tightened with such intensity that it seemed on the verge of breaking apart. I lifted the phone and dialed Emily's number. "My dear Emily, it seems that Ella has yet to return home. She vanished on her journey home from school. Nora is out searching." She fell silent for a moment, then replied in a measured tone, "Aren't there cameras near the school? Simply review the footage. Mother, this matter does not require your call to me." And then she gently ended the call. In an instant, just like that. I lingered there, the phone cradled in my hand, unable to release my grasp long after the call had faded into silence. She had referred to it as a mere trifle. That was indeed her beloved niece. His brother's sole offspring. Yet, it seems, not deserving of the trouble it brings. In that fleeting moment, a part of me shattered within. Perhaps, at last, something has been illuminated. Never before had the truth revealed itself so clearly. Nora returned just as the sky embraced the gentle hues of dusk. She held Ella in her arms, embracing her tenderly as if she had just rescued her from the flames of a raging fire. She took a misstep on her journey. Found myself wandering into the neighborhood opposite the school. Nora's voice trembled, her cheeks adorned with glistening tears. Fear enveloped me completely. I gracefully leaned down, enveloping Ella in a warm embrace. "You're all right," I murmured softly. "You are quite all right." That is all that truly holds significance. That evening, Nora lingered at my threshold, her presence a gentle enchantment. She sat there, enveloped in silence, delicately holding one of Ella's tiny hair clips between her fingers, her eyes reflecting a profound emptiness. I was lost in thought, unsure of what I would do if I couldn't find her. She murmured softly. "Never have I felt such fear in my existence." I remained silent. I approached my desk and delicately unfolded the draft of the trust agreement, a creation I had crafted and refined, now lovingly torn and mended with tape, bearing the marks of my devotion. I gently placed it beneath the soft glow of the desk lamp. Serene. Determined. Emily is someone I can always count on. She is a soul who never sought to be a pillar for others. Yet, dear Nora. Nora never uttered a single promise. She gracefully appeared. Time and time again. And not once did they turn away. That night, slumber eluded me. Once she had lovingly tucked Ella in, Nora glided into the living room with the grace of a whisper. With a tender touch, she gracefully draped the blanket over me, her silent care speaking volumes even in my slumber. "Call me if you need anything," she whispered softly, then gently closed the door behind her. The lamp beside me emitted a soft, golden glow, enveloping the room in a warm embrace. I reclined, gazing at the ceiling, my thoughts a whirlwind of restless emotions. It was neither pain that held me awake nor the weight of lingering tension. It was a profound, soul-stirring solitude. I rose from my slumber, enveloped myself in a warm coat, and meandered into the study, yearning for the solace of an old magazine to divert my thoughts. In the corner, I discovered a gray plastic box, untouched and unopened for years, evoking a sense of nostalgia. Within lay Ethan's cherished notebooks and a handful of his treasured belongings. I could never bring myself to sift through them. As my fingers gently grazed the soft mound, a sensation washed over me. A delicate envelope. My name graced the front in a handwriting I could never misidentify. Ethan's. Mother. If you find yourself reading these words, it signifies that I was unable to share the journey of growing old by your side. Yet, I find no cause for concern regarding your solitude. For I am certain that Nora shall be present. Though her words are few, her heart resonates with the depth of her emotions. She possesses a gentle heart, a strength that surpasses many, and she carries her burdens without a whisper of discontent. Not even at the moment she ought to. Once I am no longer here, it shall be a difficult time for her. Raising Ella alone will present its challenges. Yet she shall bear it with grace. She invariably does. She possesses a stubbornness akin to my own. I am aware that Emily has never held me in high regard. Declared that I was overly passive. That I have never truly battled for anything. Yet, I have always found it difficult to comprehend the purpose of discord within a family. I allowed her to have her way, not due to her being right, but because she always believed that you held a deeper affection for me. I wish to avoid deepening that wound. Yet, a shadow of concern lingers in my heart. As she matures, she will inevitably prioritize her own needs and desires. She possesses a remarkable intellect. Determined. Admirably proficient. Yet, she remains unaware of the art of nurturing. Not quite, my dear. She remains unaware of the moments when she should pause and take in her surroundings. Should the day come when you find yourself in need of her presence and she is absent, do not cast blame upon yourself. It is not a reflection of your nurturing. It is simply that she has forgotten the art of turning back. Regarding Nora, I believe you never truly had the chance to understand her essence. In a moment of profound devotion, she chose to forego a promotion, remaining steadfastly by my side during my time of illness. I have kept it a secret from all. She would return home, her smile radiant, and prepare soup as if the world outside had ceased to exist. She possesses a grace that allows her to navigate life without drawing unnecessary attention. Gently lifts the burden from your weary hands when fatigue has taken its toll. Should you ever choose to part with something for her sake, it is not a matter of favoritism. It is a profound sense of gratitude. I truly wish to express my heartfelt gratitude for that. My dearest, Ethan. By the time I completed the letter, it was drenched in tears. For all those years, I believed my son to be passive, too gentle, and overly inclined to yield to others. Yet, in reality, he perceived all with a clarity that surpassed our own. He remained silent. Not for a lack of concern, but rather for the depth of his feelings. He perceived the air of entitlement that surrounded Emily. He beheld the sacrifices made by Nora. And somehow, even in those days, he had already glimpsed the moment I now find myself in. I held the letter delicately, my fingers quivering with anticipation. Memories danced like fleeting lightning. Nora, in the hushed ambience of the hospital, gracefully extended a glass of water to me. Nora graced my bedside, her presence a gentle comfort throughout the night. Still in the midst of my makeup routine. Weary yet fully engaged. Nora wept softly into Ella's hair, her heart heavy after discovering her absence. Nora never once spoke of the sacrifices she had made. Only giving, never asking. And dear Emily. Emily gazed intently at her phone, lost in its glow. Bestowing upon me a practiced semblance of care. Emily accuses me of cruelty for not providing her with all that she desires. Emily's expression, tinged with impatience, graced her face each time she visited me, albeit with a hint of reluctance. Emily dismissed her niece's disappearance, treating it as a matter unworthy of her concern. My heart, once delicately folded like a cherished letter, has been gradually unveiled by all that life has revealed. And I had finally cast aside my doubts. The following morning, I reached out to my dear friend Linda. Prior to her retirement, she had established herself as one of the most esteemed trust lawyers in the city. Astute, principled, and a person with whom I shared my deepest truths. Linda, I gently expressed, I am prepared to embark on the journey of establishing the trust. A moment of stillness lingered on the other end. Then she inquired, have you at last come to a decision? I inclined my head, though she remained unaware of the gesture. I can no longer bear the weight of waiting. Life is but a fleeting moment. There are moments in life that, if left unspoken, may slip away forever, leaving only whispers of what could have been. Later that day, I found myself in her charming little office nestled in the heart of downtown. She gracefully guided me through the beneficiaries, the property deeds, and the intricate details of third-party oversight. All that I ever wished to understand. I listened intently, savoring each word as if it were a cherished lesson in the grand tapestry of my existence. When I signed, Nora remained unaware. All she sensed was that upon my return that evening, I carried a certain stillness, a softness that lingered in the air. My eyes may possess a hint of redness, perhaps just a touch. She gracefully offered me a cup of tea, just as she always did. I gently cradled it in both hands and whispered, "Thank you." She smiled, that same soft and unwavering smile, and in that moment, I understood. She grasped every nuance. Even in the silence of unspoken words. The trust had yet to be finalized when the tempest arrived, sweeping in with an unexpected fervor. I remain uncertain whether a whisper from Linda's office reached Emily or if she gleaned the information through one of her connections in the legal realm. In any case, she discovered the truth. She arrived unexpectedly that afternoon, her demeanor devoid of any artifice. Not a greeting. Not a single smile graced the lips. Only this. "I understand that you have placed the house into a trust, with Nora named as the beneficiary." As I sat at the dining table, I gently stirred my coffee in slow, graceful circles. In the heart of the kitchen, Nora lovingly prepared Ella's lunch. Emily's voice pierced the air with a clarity that made Ella pause and turn her gaze over her shoulder. "Pray tell, who shared that with you?" I requested my tone to be calm and measured. "That holds little significance." With a swift motion, she placed a stack of paperwork upon the table. "I wish to share something with you. Should I perceive that your choices lack reason, I shall proceed with a mental competency evaluation." I remained unperturbed. Yet Nora emerged from the kitchen, her complexion strikingly wan. "Emily, that's rather out of line," she murmured softly, yet there was a subtle sharpness in her tone that I had never encountered before. Emily offered a frosty smile, a display of teeth devoid of any warmth. "I am merely guiding my mother to make the most significant decision of her life with clarity, free from the shadows of emotional influence." Before I could utter a word, Nora gracefully approached my side, delicately returned the documents to Emily, and softly declared, "If it brings you peace of mind, I shall withdraw. This house was never my desire." It took me by surprise. Her eyes glimmered with a hint of crimson, yet no tears fell. She possessed a quiet strength. She gracefully declined to engage in a struggle for that which she felt did not warrant such passion. In that moment, everything unfolded before me with exquisite clarity. Nora's gentle retreat was not an act of yielding. It was a profound reverence. Emily's fervor was not rooted in a sense of justice. It was a sense of entitlement, her conviction that all should naturally belong to her. I rose gracefully, one hand resting upon the back of the chair, my voice more assured than it had ever been before. "Emily," I remarked, "if you have come here today to ascertain the state of my mind, allow me to soothe your worries. I am, and so much more than you can imagine." As she began to speak, I gracefully interjected, denying her the opportunity to voice her thoughts. "Nora is gracefully withdrawing, guided by her sense of propriety. From a deep affection for this family. Allow me to express myself with utmost clarity. Is this the house? I acquired it with the cherished savings of a lifetime. The choice of whom it goes to rests solely in my hands, not yours." I locked my gaze with hers, unblinking. "Do you truly believe I am being overly emotional?" "You are indeed correct. I exist. Yet, my feelings are deeply intertwined with those who have genuinely stood by my side. Who has demonstrated tenderness. Do you not find it to your liking? Perhaps it is due to the passage of time since you last left a trace of tenderness within these walls." The room fell into a gentle hush, with only the soft murmur of Ella's cartoon gracing the air in the background. Emily gazed at me, her eyes lingering with an unspoken intensity. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft yet piercing. "Am I truly being measured against her now?" I released a gentle sigh, allowing the moment to linger in the air. "I'm not drawing comparisons," I murmured gently. "You are my beloved daughter. That shall remain forever unaltered. Yet, the love that binds a family transcends mere blood ties. It is crafted with care, moment by moment. And your absence has lingered too long to anticipate something that was never truly deserved." She remained silent. She collected her papers with a determined gaze, her jaw set in quiet resolve. With a graceful turn, she departed, leaving behind a silence that spoke volumes. As the door softly clicked shut behind her, Nora glided over with a gentle grace. "My dearest Martha, I must express my sincerest apologies," she murmured. "It was never my intention to bring about such a situation." I gently shook my head, a soft smile gracing my lips. "You have done nothing amiss. I regret that it has taken me this long to express what truly needed to be said." On that enchanting evening, I found myself in the living room, the gentle melody of Ella's piano practice wafting in from down the hall. I reached for Ethan's letter once more, unfolding it with a gentle grace, savoring each moment. I savored each word. And I felt it in the very depths of my being that he had been right all along. Family transcends mere blood ties. It is characterized by an enchanting presence. Through the grace of action. On the day the trust agreement gracefully came into effect, I found myself in solitude within the kitchen. A cup of cold coffee, lingering in stillness, untouched by my hand. I had kept it a secret, not even sharing it with Nora. 2 weeks prior, the papers had been gracefully signed. The entire house, now nestled within a living trust, was to be co-managed by myself, Nora, and Emily, a harmonious collaboration of our shared intentions. Ella's portion was delicately preserved within the trust, lovingly protected under my name until the moment she blossomed into adulthood. I understood that this choice would not come without its challenges. I understood that not all would embrace it. Yet it was undeniably clear-headed. And it was lovely. For I have always held the conviction that love transcends mere words. It is in those tender moments of vulnerability that true strength is revealed, as you choose to stand unwaveringly by their side. Once more, Emily graced us with her presence. Unexpectedly. As it was in times past. Without a salutation. There is a distinct absence of warmth. Merely a folder cradled in her hand, her gaze held a chill more biting than the winter's breath. "Are you truly aware of the path you are treading?" She erupted the moment she stepped over the threshold. Even Ella, lost in her quiet coloring at the table, paused mid-doodle. I gently closed the ledger I had been perusing and replied, "Yes." The documents have been elegantly signed. It is a delicate arrangement involving 3 parties. Emily drew nearer, exuding an air of palpable tension. "Is that truly all there is? Have you truly cast me aside?" "You are my mother, not hers." "You were not forgotten," I responded. "You remain entwined within it. Simply no longer the sole one." She let out a soft scoff, her lips pressed together in a delicate manner. "She is not even of your lineage." Nora had just emerged from the kitchen, catching the final words that lingered in the air. She remained silent. With a delicate touch, he untied her apron, softly took Ella's hand, and began to guide her away. "My dearest Nora, I have called for you. There is no need for you to depart." She paused for a moment, then gracefully chose to remain, positioning herself delicately between us. Emily's gaze sharpened with intensity. "Without a doubt, she will remain. She desires for me to embody the essence of the villain." At long last, Nora found her voice. Her voice flowed softly, yet remained unwavering. "If you feel that I have erred in any way, I shall gracefully remove my name today. This was never my desire. I never contended for it." Her eyes were adorned with a delicate crimson hue, yet it was not a sign of fragility. From determination. I remained, for my heart has always found its home in this place. You sense a certain injustice, for you have yet to experience it. Her words, though softly spoken, fell with the weight of a stone. Even I found myself momentarily still. Emily's visage quivered delicately. She flinched ever so slightly. I rose and turned to her, my heart fluttering in anticipation. "Do you believe I am showing preference? Very well. Allow me to confess something. You have captured my affection. For countless years. From the tender days of your youth. I devoted more of my attention to you, believing you required it more deeply. Your brother and Nora, a delightful pair. They never sought anything in return. They never sought to impose. I devoted my entire being to you. I inhaled deeply. Yet, as the years have gracefully unfolded. When I fell ill, you mentioned that you were preoccupied. I stumbled, and you mentioned you had meetings to attend. I expressed my pain. And you mentioned it wasn't quite the right moment. Emily remained silent, her fingers delicately pressing into the truss papers, leaving behind soft creases. Continued onward. And what of Nora? She never sought a single desire. She simply appeared. With each passing moment. Always on time. Always present. Emily finally spoke, her voice a delicate whisper that danced through the air. Are you truly entrusting our cherished home to a stranger? I gently set the chilled coffee aside. Before you stands an unfamiliar figure. Yet, she is the one who embraces me as if I were her own kin. You are my beloved daughter. Yet, you have transformed into a mere guest. I wish to arrange a moment with someone special. The room enveloped us in a profound silence, where the rhythmic ticking of the wall clock resonated, steady and foreboding. Then Nora revealed it with a tender touch. Martha, should this complicate matters for you, I sincerely do not hesitate to withdraw. Never did I anticipate such a turn of events. I turned to her, allowing my gaze to intertwine with hers for the very first time. And spoke with unwavering clarity. Absolutely not. You are not the one who is complicating this matter. I exist, for I have lingered in anticipation for far too long. I am choosing this path not out of obligation, but from a sense of duty. You have gracefully borne the weight of this family. She is not my daughter. He is not my son-in-law. You are a vision of grace and charm. Emily averted her eyes, as though a delicate part of her soul had finally shattered. This time, her voice remained calm and composed. I refrained from expressing anger. She remained poised for a moment, then in a gentle tone, inquired, "Is this what family signifies to you now?" I inclined my head in agreement. I wish for all within these walls to grasp the essence of my thoughts. Love is not something passed down through generations. It is cultivated through attentive presence and genuine care. Emily remained silent, her thoughts lingering in the air. With a graceful motion, she collected the documents, gently tucked them into her bag, and glided toward the door. At the threshold, she lingered gracefully. All I seek is a moment to myself. The door softly clicked shut behind her. I found myself lost in the moment. On that enchanting evening, Nora perched gracefully at the edge of the sofa, her fingers delicately stitching one of Ella's doll dresses with tender care. She kept her gaze lowered as she inquired, "Do you think perhaps the words you spoke today were a touch too severe?" I gently shook my head. Indeed, I must decline. They were simply perfect. Should she awaken, a touch of pain must precede her rise. I gazed through the window at the serene, luminous moon hanging gracefully in the night sky. For the very first time in my existence, a sense of lightness enveloped me. Yet, there are moments when the path to progress lies in the gentle release of what once was. As the sun rose on the day of Ella's birthday, a gentle breeze whispered promises of joy, making the occasion feel nothing short of enchanting. The sun bathed the world in warmth, the skies stretched out in a perfect blue, and the house glowed with a light that felt utterly divine and unrepeatable. That morning, Ella glided through the living room in her socks, her eyes sparkling with eager anticipation. "Grandma," she inquired, "might we indulge in a rainbow cake this year?" I let out a soft chuckle and nodded gracefully. "Provided your mother is on board, we can embrace a world of rainbows, unicorns, or anything else that your heart truly longs for." From the kitchen, a melodic laugh escaped Nora's lips. "While a unicorn may be a bit of a leap, I shall infuse it with as much vibrancy as possible." The abode hummed with a gentle warmth. And yet, beneath the joy, a subtle emptiness lingered, for we both understood that Ella harbored a quiet hope for Emily's arrival. A few days prior, Nora had approached me with a tender grace. "Martha, do you believe it would be delightful to extend an invitation to Emily? I remained quiet for a lingering moment. Nora continued, regardless of the past that has unfolded between you both, Ella still yearns for her presence. He was indeed correct. Little ones do not tally their victories. They cherish the memories of those who helped extinguish their candles, who grace the family portraits they create with crayon. Thus, I reached for my phone and dialed Emily's number. She responded with a swiftness that took me by surprise, as if she had been anticipating this moment all along. I approached it directly. Ella's birthday celebration is set for Saturday afternoon. If you find yourself with a moment to spare, do join me for a delightful slice of cake. A moment of silence lingered on the other end. Then her voice, soft yet unwavering. I shall be there. The gathering was intimate. Only a handful of neighborhood children, a couple of Nora's colleagues, and my dear old friend Grace from the days before retirement. Nora adorned the space with delightful banners and gentle balloons, creating an atmosphere of warmth and joy. Ella donned a delicate white tulle dress, adorned with a charming rainbow beret nestled in her hair. She devoted a good part of the morning to perfecting her heartfelt wish speech. Emily graced the gathering with her presence approximately 30 minutes after the festivities commenced. She entered with a gentle grace, adorned in a modest beige sweater and jeans, cradling a gift bag that spoke of thoughtful preparation rather than haste. She hesitated in the doorway, a touch uncertain. Am I late, my dear? Nora stepped forward and accepted the gift, her voice warm and composed. Perfectly timed. The instant Ella laid eyes upon her, she radiated with a warmth akin to the flickering glow of candles upon a cake. Dearest Aunt Emily, you have arrived. She hurried to her and embraced her waist with both arms, as a koala clings tenderly to its tree. Emily gracefully knelt, a gentle smile gracing her lips. Wishing you a joyful birthday, dear child. She extended the gift with grace. I understand you have a fondness for puzzles. This edition embarks on a celestial adventure. Ella let out a delighted squeal, her heart dancing as she hurried off to share her joy with her friends. As I observed them, a delicate sensation lodged itself in my throat. It was not so much pain, but rather a subtle ache. It was that peculiar warmth that arises when something once far away begins to draw near once more. As the moment arrived for us to come together and serenade with a joyful birthday tune, Emily found herself seated directly opposite me. Our gazes intertwined on several occasions. Silence speaks volumes. As the cake was served and the lively chatter filled the air, she approached, gracefully holding her plate. Is the cake to your liking, then? A gentle smile graced my lips. Far superior to that attempt you made at baking when you were just 10. Her laughter rang out, a genuine melody of joy. I mistakenly added half a cup of salt in place of sugar. You still savored a morsel. Ah, my dear, I once declared that you were my beloved daughter. They remain so. Our words lingered in the air, unspoken yet profound. Yet, in that moment, the atmosphere surrounding us seemed to shimmer with a newfound lightness, a delicate change that had been absent for far too long. As the afternoon gracefully unfolded, Nora invited everyone to gather for a group photo beneath the grand oak tree in the backyard. Ella stood gracefully in the center, her arms outstretched as if she wished to embrace the entire world in a tender hug. Emily graced my right side. Nora beside me, a vision of grace. The shutter clicked, and in that fleeting instant, I understood that we had, in a gentle and unvoiced manner, become a family once more. As the evening wore on and the guests began to depart, Emily gracefully made her way to me at the door. Mother, she spoke with a weighty sincerity, I am aware that I have not always navigated my path flawlessly. Yet, I am truly grateful for the opportunity to remain a part of this journey. I never uttered the words, "It's about time," nor did I express that I was eagerly anticipating your declaration. I gently placed my hand upon hers and whispered, "What has transpired is behind us now. What truly holds significance in this moment is the path you choose to tread from here on out." She nodded, and in that moment, I sensed she genuinely understood me. And in that moment, a gentle sigh escaped from within me. It was not yet the time for forgiveness. Yet it was an acknowledgement, a celebration of endeavor, of transformation, of that exquisite pursuit which, though perhaps delayed, remains profoundly significant. Indeed, it was more than sufficient. That year, spring arrived with an enchanting grace. The roses in the yard had just begun to bloom when Ella rushed outside, as if she had discovered a hidden gem. Each day following her classes, her routine remained beautifully constant. She would gracefully kneel by the garden bed, a delicate watering can cradled in her hand, and tenderly call out the names of each cherished plant she had bestowed with life. Lucinda Baladaisy. And what of the smallest among them? That is Hope. I inquired of her the reason behind naming it Hope. She inclined her head in a moment of contemplation. For it is the most leisurely of them all. Yet, I believe it shall blossom into the most magnificent and beautiful flower. A soft smile graced my lips as I nodded, captivated by the sincerity woven into her words. That delicate stem, so tender and seemingly distant from the rest, mirrored the essence of our family perfectly. Amidst the disputes, the quiet moments, the miscommunications, and the space between us, we found ourselves, in some enchanting way, still reaching for the light. Retirement unveiled itself to me in ways I had never anticipated. I began dedicating my time twice a week to the local church through volunteering. Assisting in the organization of donated food, gracefully completing health intake forms for elderly neighbors who find themselves without support. As I perched behind that folding table, a clipboard resting gently in my lap, a realization washed over me. Embracing the passage of time transcends the mere notion of receiving care. It was a journey of embracing the role of a caretaker, even if all you could provide was a gentle flicker of light. Nora had become increasingly occupied as well. She, along with a few nurse companions, gracefully unveiled an online caregiving platform they lovingly named Always There. She shared with me that the name was inspired by the tender care she offered during my surgery, and the warmth she aspired to evoke in others. Serene, attentive, unwavering. As I assisted her in crafting the homepage of the website, a radiant smile graced her lips, and she remarked, "The opening line should echo your words, love isn't inherited. It is attained through deliberate endeavor." I took my time before responding. As I observed her delicately type it in, a gentle warmth stirred within my chest, igniting a fleeting moment of enchantment. And what of Emily? He transformed her. Not in a sweeping, cinematic tale of redemption. No more tearful apologies beneath the rain. Merely gentle, unwavering transitions. Whispering roots caressed the earth with tender grace. She began to reach out on weekends. At times, she would express that she wasn't on a journey and would delight in accompanying me to a museum exhibit. At times, it was a delightful note revealing that Ella had created a charming picture for Aunt Emily. During one enchanting evening, as Nora graciously hosted a fundraising live stream for her platform, a delightful comment appeared in the chat, applauding all the wonderful efforts being made. It came from Emily. Yet, the moment that lingered in my heart unfolded on a Tuesday. We had the pleasure of visiting a distinguished gentleman residing in a quaint rural care facility. Someone whom Nora was assisting in finding a place within a home care program. His legs faltered beneath him, and his words flowed in delicate, fragmented whispers. With a gentle smile, Nora tenderly arranged his bed, engaging in soft conversation. As he reminisced about his youth, a radiant glow danced in his eyes, reminiscent of sunlight streaming through open windows in the afternoon. Emily had arrived solely to deliver a few supplies. She lingered by the door, phone delicately cradled in her hand, an air of anticipation surrounding her as she awaited a message from work. Yet, the gentleman's gaze drifted to a cherished photograph resting upon his bedside table. A young boy nestled in the embrace of a weary yet smiling woman. "My mother," he whispered, "raised me with unwavering devotion. Juggled the demands of 3 professions. I forewent my meals in favor of savoring milk. She departed this world before I had the chance to bestow upon her something truly lovely. I have always held the belief. I wish I had more time." His voice trembled delicately on the final word. Silence enveloped the room. I refrained from glancing at Emily, yet I sensed the silence transform around us. From the periphery of my vision, I caught a glimpse of her gently lowering her phone and discreetly placing it aside. In a silent gesture of tenderness, she approached the bedside and delicately draped the old man's blanket back over his shoulder. As we journeyed home, we meandered past boundless fields, shimmering in golden hues beneath the soft embrace of the fading light. Emily reclined gracefully in the passenger seat, her gaze drifting dreamily out the window. After a prolonged silence, she spoke softly, "Mom, in my childhood, I never realized the extent of your efforts for us, nor the great sacrifices you made. I believed you were merely mother. Like a wondrous creation, untouched by fatigue or sorrow. Ah, but you were weary, were you not?" My fingers caressed the steering wheel. I chose to remain silent. Not from uncertainty, but rather because it was unnecessary. At last, he beheld it. He sensed it deeply. She refrained from crying out, her voice a mere whisper in the stillness. She offered no words of apology. Yet, I am certain she was. Upon our return home, she lingered at the table in silence for an extended moment. Suddenly, she lifted her gaze and softly uttered, "Nora, thank you for cherishing her all these years." Nora's expression was one of delightful surprise. Yet her reply was tender, as it always is. "Please, no need for gratitude. We are united as a family now, and from this moment onward, we shall always remain so." Emily cast a fleeting glance my way, her silence speaking volumes. Merely offered the faintest of nods. And that was all that was needed. Sunday afternoons possess a newfound charm. In a delightful twist of fate, they have gracefully woven themselves into the fabric of my week, becoming my cherished moments. Our backyard, once the most serene on the block, has transformed into the most enchanting little courtyard in the neighborhood. In the kitchen, Nora stands with her sleeves elegantly rolled up, conducting the preparation of a roast chicken as if it were a beautiful symphony. Emily stands at the counter, gracefully whisking the salad dressing, her laughter mingling with the air as she playfully remarks on how Ella's math worksheet has left its mark on the elegant linen napkins. Ah, Jacob, that once elusive son-in-law, now finds himself in the backyard with Ella, both enveloped in a cascade of bubbles from a science experiment that has taken a delightfully amusing turn. His laughter resonates with a richness that surpasses hers. As I recline in my cherished wicker chair beneath the boughs of the orange tree, a gentle blanket drapes over my legs, and a warm cup of lemon tea cradles in my hands. The leaves whisper softly in the breeze, weaving delicate shadows upon the cobblestone path. In the soft glow of the evening, the gentle clinking of utensils mingles with Ella's delightful giggles and Nora's warm calls from the kitchen. "My dear Emily, do indulge in this and share your thoughts on its saltiness." Her voice no longer reaches across the expanse. It embodies a sense of belonging. As I gently close my eyes, I inhale the golden rays of sunlight, allowing them to caress my face with their warmth. In that exquisite moment, I ponder what could possibly surpass this blissful experience. I am no longer the woman who once lay in a hospital bed, yearning for a phone that remained silent. I no longer gauge love by gestures that arrive too late or remain absent altogether. I find no struggle within myself regarding what to relinquish, whom to cherish, or the notion that blood alone defines a family. I am Martha Green, a woman who has come to truly grasp the essence of being cherished, and, even more significantly, the art of selecting love. Each step I took to arrive at this moment was truly worthwhile. This existence, my existence, was not traversed without purpose.